It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
What up, D? Good morning. Aw, thank you, D. Hey, D, thank you. Always a supporter. Ooh, look, I started a minute early. Ooh. Somebody had a good nightly routine. Can y'all hear me? Check 1, 2. I saw y'all in the chat, too. I saw y'all. I saw so many names. I was trying to say, can y'all tell I was nervous? I was nervous yesterday. I was nervous because it was just that project is still ongoing. The work with the Water Equity and Climate Resilience Caucus as a part of Policy Link's work is still ongoing. And it's just, there are so many impressive people that I actually sat to interview. Thank you for the thumbs up. Good morning. Hey, Debbie. Debbie is my ride or die on Facebook. Debbie's always in early. Thank you, Debbie. Good morning. So many heavy hitters that are involved in just fighting for climate justice and access to clean, affordable water. And I mean, hours and hours of interviews and just speaking to like impressive people, like people who gave like real TED Talks. No shade to TEDx folk. No shade. If you part of a TEDx in Kansas or Charleston or New Jersey. But yeah, Nana Fofe is the bomb. And oh my gosh, Wind and Warrior. Hey cousin Kazimbi. I might be headed up your way soon, cause might be enjoying some nutcrackers and some hip hop. But nah, seriously, yesterday was momentous. Thank you to everyone. I went into the participants tab because it was a webinar style, but you can see the participants and we could see how many people were watching. And it was just like, at one point it was like almost 100 people watching, and I could see some of my friends. I couldn't see everyone because I got distracted, but it was such a dope event. Thank y'all so much for supporting me and learning, and more importantly, learning more about Policy Link. They do so much phenomenal work. That's what Charleston and like area organizations who do things like, creative placemaking, which you can argue has some value, but like we do a lot of empty calorie work here. I'll speak for Charleston. I know that there could be an analysis that I could offer about the entire state's nonprofit industrial complex. But like, I'm really impressed by the work that Policy Link does around arts and culture. Right. And specifically like the way they've treated me, like this has been over 2 years of involvement. The way they've compensated quality work and took their time with me and very patient. And they have this dope race and class analysis, and like, it's just bomb. So thank y'all so much. Today, we're going to talk about voting rights. I wanted to talk about this yesterday, but today's the perfect day because not so much as a slow news day. There are tons of things going on. There are lots of things happening, but it's a perfect day to talk about voting rights, given the news cycle of what we've seen coming from Texas. I specifically named Texas as I teased the live stream this morning, because what we're seeing from not just Texas legislators who are trying their darndest to stymie voter participation and basically suppress the black vote, suppress the brown vote, suppress the disabled vote. They're doing everything to just make sure that that marginalized communities don't have a voice on the front line. I'm getting messages. Okay, I have to check that later. If you're messaging me on Facebook Messenger, good morning. I'm on live. All right, so let's get to it. Let's switch up the scenes and hop into some headlines. Okay. Hey, Iskra, I'm gonna get to you. All right, so let's get into the local headlines. There was one headline. So today, when you whip out your library card to access the Post and Courier or the state newspaper or any other, publication in this area, when you whip out your card, this is the front page of today's Post and Courier. Pardon me. There is a lot of news here that's very interesting. Dad Moore, who I believe is on the investigative reporting beat for the Post and Courier. That is pretty dope, pretty thorough. Thad and Stephen Hobbs here are writing about the Murdaugh case. I'm going to get into this. That might be dedicated for tomorrow's show. We're going to talk about the coverage. I've got some thoughts that I've just been kind of baking. I want to make sure that it's not just a hot take, that I have a thorough perspective to share, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. I want to make sure that my thoughts are well thought out and are very very precise when we talk about the Murdaugh case, because there's a lot of things there. And I want to take it back again. We did watch some quick videos that the state newspaper published, I believe in collaboration with the Island Packet, which has been covering the Murdaugh case. But we're going to get into it from a different perspective. I'm going to talk about the coverage, and we're going to talk about SLED's involvement. We know how SLED is just historically. SLED has worked to protect the police and also protect people in power here. So they protect white institutional power. Pardon me. Let me take a sip of my jet fuel. Y'all, that's the strongest coffee I've had in like months. Like, I'll probably be up for 3 days. But no, we're going to talk about SLED. We're going to talk about the Murdaugh case. We're going to talk about how something so high profile is such a mystery. And we know why. I think our gut, let's trust our gut with that, right? Why is it such a mystery? All right, this right here, this story, Below the Fold, written by Olivia Diaz. Again, I don't know if I said this on live, but I think I've said it to myself. Really want to watch. I'm not familiar with Olivia Diaz's reporting, but I believe ever since Greg Yee left the crime beat here in Charleston for the Post and Courier, I think there's been some movement there. So who covers who covers law enforcement, crime, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to read this. I have not read this article, y'all, so we can read this together. We can try. Let me see if I can. These ads really. No. Make it bigger. Text larger. Okay. Let's just increase the view. All right, here we go. All right, boom. Okay, so this is James Johnson. Y'all know this is Elder James Johnson. Shout out Elder Johnson. Used to hold it down with Nan. Now he's doing his own thing. I support the move. James Johnson holds letters for Solicitor Scarlett Wilson to be removed from the Jamal Southern case. She is proven to be completely inept and unqualified to handle this case. And it's really, really, really sad. Let me see. Let me reduce the percentage, because now I think it's cut off. I don't know why. It formats real funny when you read it this way. Anyway, on July 14th, a July 14th letter from Racial Justice Network leaders comes after community activists have been increasing pressure on the Ninth Circuit Solicitor Scarlett Wilson to charge detention deputies Brian Hall and Lindsay Fickett regarding their roles in the Sutherland's death. Sutherland, 31 years old, mentally ill, refused to leave a cell at the Charleston County Jail for a bond hearing on January. Hall and Fickett. On January 5th, Hall and Fickett forced him from the cell using pepper spray and tasers, actions that may have led to his death. Ain't no may. I don't even know why she's framing it like that. It was rule of homicide. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna stop there because I get angry. Anyway, we're gonna stop it there. But that's the one headline from today's Post and Courier. Again, when you whip out your library card. Shout out to me. I just got a third library card. I got my New York Public Library card last week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago. So that's been a treat. Access to more information. I suggest that if you get a Richland County library card, their library system is dope. Get other library cards from other places, y'all. It'll open your eyes up to like what's available, and you have more access to more books and more publications, more periodicals. And if you're struggling to juggle subscriptions like I do, if you don't have dope followers like me that help pay for like the Washington Post and other subscriptions, you don't have that going on, by all means, please use the library. The library system is the most subversive institution we have, so make sure you use your library card to gain access to news. Let's hop into it. I wanted to start out with just some highlights. I wanted to do this regularly, but I got I got a little distracted. I wanted to give kudos to Charleston's own Chris Middleton. Last night, Chris did his thing in the finals. The Bucks tied it up. Now it's 2-2 versus the Suns, heading back to, I believe, Arizona for game 5. But Chris did his thing. He always does his thing, goes off when he's at home in Milwaukee. But let's play this quick clip of Chris doing his thing.
One of the most under radar star players in the NBA with a 40-point performance. 43 minutes here in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. He's with Malika.
Yes, that's right. I'm here with the 40-point man himself. Chris, walk me through that jumper that you made to
Are you
push
chanting
yourself
that,
up and then that block from Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Just staying with it, doing what we do, getting to spots that we're comfortable in, sets that we're comfortable in. And then Giannis, that's what he's been doing all year, coming weak side, blocking shots, altering shots, him and Brooke. Giannis has been amazing. He didn't have the dominant performance that we used to see, but he did it with the other things tonight, and that's what helped us win.
I'm sure he would say that you were amazing, but what was it like to trade buckets with Devin Booker on a night where you both were just cooking with hot grease?
Man, he had some tough shots. Some very, very tough shots.
Contested,
double team, double clutch shots. But we just stay with it. Keep trying to make them work. In this end, we just got to do it together. That's the only way we can win.
Chris, this is the second time in these playoffs alone that you guys have come back to tie a series after being down 0-2. What is it about this group that just breeds resilience?
Just staying strong, staying with it, not never getting down. Tell myself we're always in the game no matter what the score until that clock runs out.
All right, we'll stop it there. Just shout out to, again, Charleston's own Chris Middleton doing his thing last night. You love to see it. You'll love to see it. But yeah, let's hop into the voting rights. I wanted to like I said in previous live streams, I wanted to talk about what was going on in Texas. I ain't gonna lie, y'all know. Sometimes I selfishly, I don't know if it's selfish, but y'all know I definitely have a lot of criticism for our Democrats. I'm rooting for our Democrats. I know it doesn't always sound like I'm rooting for Kempson or the Greek freak Todd Rutherford or Bamberg or, certain ones that I'm critical of. Yeah, I might not seem like I'm rooting for them, but I am. I want them to be better candidates and better elected lawmakers and whatnot. And so sometimes I look at other now, and the grass ain't always greener, right? But sometimes I look at other lawmakers in other states and I'm like, yo, that's how you Democrat. Like, and granted, what we're seeing in Texas is just a snapshot of what goes on there, so I'm not super engaged and I don't know all of the nuances and scandals and controversies. I see you Whiskey Neat on Twitch. But I think what we've been seeing from the Texas Democrats who have stood up to their governor and stood up to what he's trying to do, I think what we saw there is exemplary, and we need to continue to lift up that type of strategy. Remember how I was really super critical of that what's his name, Caesar is it Caesar McKnight, the dude that went on Tucker Carlson? Like, you went on a whole white nationalist, a whole white supremacist show just to shit on your fellow Dems because you don't like this you want to support anti-trans legislation, and that's not the party line. You literally going to defect from your party. You're a Democrat in a solidly black and poor district, poor area, and you're going to defect and try to just get 2 minutes of fame on a white nationalist cable TV show. Like, what part of the game is that? What part of the script is that, right? And so when Democrats like that from South Carolina do dumb stuff like that, I get so pissed off because it's unnecessary. It's uncalled for. So I wanted to look at what's going on in Texas and also tie it into the larger discussion about voting rights. So let's play this older clip, older meaning maybe from a week or whatnot. We're going to play 2 clips and then we're going to bring it back to, and we're going to do some Nancy Mason, some Tim Scott. I know we did local lawmakers yesterday a little bit. We're going to do it again to here today, but we're going to just watch this voting rights, this movement in Texas.
Suppression bill and fled to D.C.
Let me make sure we rewind to the beginning.
The Texas Democrats who blocked a voter suppression bill and fled to D.C. are showing how to fight for voting rights.
How to fight, y'all.
Republicans in Texas are vowing to track down and arrest those Democrats. These are new pictures showing some of the 58 lawmakers that left the state in a remarkable show of strength to block a voter suppression bill. Their plan is to wait out the clock on the special session back home and stay in D.C. for the next 3 weeks. I have some restaurant suggestions, lobbying Congress to do something.
That's so dope.
Here they are in front of the Capitol today.
Think about that. All those Democrats leaving together, concerted effort, with a whole strategy, right? Showing the country. And now let me put my strategist hat on. Man, you know how you can fundraise off this? You know how good you can how well you can fundraise off this, right? Like this is a G move, y'all. This is a G move, and I'm just trying to, like, I know people we'll listen to the rest. Let's listen. Look, they even got like they branding. Like, look, they came ready. They knew the assignment and they knocked it out the park.
We are not going to buckle to the big lie in the state of Texas.
We can't hold this tide back forever. We're buying some time.
That's right.
We need Congress and all of our federal leaders to use that time wisely.
I'm not going to be a hostage. That my constituents' right to be stripped from them. We have fought too long and too hard in this country.
Come on.
Thank you. We have fought too long and too hard. But without getting rid of the filibuster, nothing can happen with the federal voting rights legislation.
Cinema.
The Texas Democrats are meeting with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin today, who is key to ending the filibuster or reforming it and open a door to voting rights law. President talking big today about acting, but the next step has to be stepping up the pressure. Texas Governor Abbott threatening the Democrats, but they're not backing down.
So you got Abbott threatening. First of all, I want to say that a lot of these moves to restrict voter participation in Texas, and I'm going to be very delicate with this, so don't think that I'm being cruel or anything like this. But this is a disabled governor, and this is what I'm trying to tell y'all. When a black person can be anti-black, right? A woman can uphold misogynist and chauvinistic values, right? And a disabled governor can block access and create laws and champion legislation that will restrict access to the ballot that specifically injures or stymies or prevents people who have limited access, limited physical ability, limits their participation in the electoral process. So I just want to make sure that because sometimes people get a little in Charleston especially, when you put a black face on something that's anti-black, people get confused and be like, well, it can't be that. You can be self-hating. You can be self-hating. You can have internalized whatever it is, isms. You can have internalized ableism, which I'm sure he has, that's demonstrated by this type of legislation he's a champion. You can have internalized ableism, internalized racism, internalized white supremacy, no matter what the vessel, no matter what the container. So look at this man who's in a wheelchair, championing restricting voter access to not just people of color, but people who are disabled, because he's shutting down a lot of restrictions that actually make it easier for people with disabilities to participate. Like, this it blows my mind, but that's just how white supremacy works as well. And it all overlaps. Just visualize a diagram with those overlapping circles. That's how oppression works. They're not separate and they're not in silos. They all overlap. White supremacy, trying to keep black people from voting, trying to keep brown people from voting, and then you turn around and you're preventing people with varying abilities from voting as well.
Isn't that the most un-Texan thing you've ever heard? Texans running from a fight? They're
Ted Cruz is checking in on the chat from Cancun. Texas lawmakers fleeing from a fight. Ted Cruz online too. Get out of
quitters. This is not over. I can and I will continue to call special session after special session after special session all the way up until election next year. As soon as they come back in the state of Texas, they will be arrested. They will be cabined inside the Texas Capitol until they get their job done.
Joining me now is Texas State Representative Nicole Collier. She's the chair of the state's Legislative Black Caucus and left Texas for Washington, D.C. She is fresh out of a meeting with Vice President Harris.
Okay, that's a good place to stop and go to the next clip, because we're going to get to my former boss, Cliff Albright, with Black Voters Matter. Cliff has been beating this drum for a long time, like since Biden got into office. And like people, I ain't trying to throw my parents under the bus, but this is like a point of contention whenever I go to, whenever I head back home to Wamala. all, this is the point of contention for me and my folks. I maintain that Joe Biden didn't do enough. It has not been aggressive enough, right? It's July now, right? Like, he's been in office. He's been inaugurated since January. I maintain that Joe Biden has not done enough. He has not thrown the full support of his office behind blocking or preventing legislation like this from taking place. The Republicans knew what was going to happen. The moment Election Day passed in November, Republicans had a game plan. You could talk all you want. You could talk all the shit you want about Republicans, about all that QAnon, all that Trumpian. They are organized. They are all on the same page. They understand their assignment and they attack. They do not let up. They will look at them. They're demonizing vote. They're demonizing vaccine outreach. So when they are ruthless, there's no bottom, right? They will go for it. And here we are thinking that because Trump is out of office, that we're in cruise control, and we're not. And Cliff makes the argument that Biden could be doing more. Like, how much more do you want to see? How much more do you need to see? And Cliff's been on this since early after the inauguration. I've heard Cliff be very vocal across many national media outlets about what this administration needs to be doing to prevent what things like what's happening in Texas. But let's go back to, I'm over here. Let me go back to the clip with Vice President Kamala Harris. She's talking about the Texas Democrats in this clip right here.
Texas, who are showing extraordinary courage and commitment. I met with them when many of them traveled to Washington, D.C. We sat down and had an extensive conversation in the Roosevelt Room in the White House. And I applaud them standing for the rights of all Americans and all Texans to express their voice through their vote, unencumbered. They are leaders who are marching in the path that so many others before did.
I see you saying facade.
When they fought and many died for our right to vote. And I'll say this later in my comments, but I do believe that fighting for the right to vote is as American as apple pie.
She got to work on her. I don't know. She all right. Y'all know I ain't a big fan of Kamala, but it's good to hear her vocalize support. That's actually very important. I know I'm being silly, but it's very important that the vice president come out and make strong and strong demonstrative comments about what's taking place from Texas. I want to get to, let's see. I'm trying to look for a clip that. Here we go. This clip right here. Let me go to my Instagram real quick. Because I put it in my stories last night. It's just really just basic post, but let me see. So yeah, here it is. This is from Cliff's page right here, Cliff's account. How much more does the White House need to see? This is a historic moment, right? So Cliff was also published in the Atlantic. I believe this is this week. Let me look at the date. Yep, today. So this was published in the Atlantic, written by Ronald Brownstein, the tool that Joe Biden refuses to use. See, and that's what I want y'all to do. I don't want you to be hypercritical just to be, a jerk or offer up hot takes about Biden's not perfect, he's not progressive enough. There's legitimate critiques that you could offer up about what Joe Biden has refused to do regarding preventing some of the things that we're seeing. Basically, you've got red state governors running the whole show, and Manchin, with the help of Manchin and Sinema too. But you've got them running the show. The president has so many tools in his arsenal. The presidency itself is a tool. Let's watch this clip from Roland Martin.
The digital show, by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. You and Latasha and others with Black Voters Matter, y'all have been doing the work.
So yeah, again, it's Latasha and Latasha Brown and Cliff Albright are both co-founders of Black Voters Matter. Head to blackvotersmatterfund.org for more information, y'all. Y'all can support Black Voters Matter. They're still getting my throat. They're still gang. Even though I don't work with them, they do phenomenal work, and I think some of the most important work, because the field work is very important. Shout out to all my homies holding it down in the field. Shout out to Danielle. Shout out to my girl Brittany. Shout out to my girl Ryan. Shout out to everybody in GA and everyone holding it down, right? So that work in the field is very important. But what's very important is how both Cliff and Latasha helped to frame a national discussion. They helped to frame an argument and put forth other priorities that don't necessarily make it into the argument about voting rights. So this is important. I got you in the chat. I'm going to take a look at what y'all writing in the chat.
For a very long time. You have, of course, calls from the White House President Joe Biden to do more. That's what he actually said in Tulsa. Latasha, your co-founder, she tweeted this earlier today. Let me get this right. Y'all want us to do more work, registered more people, and turn out more voters. The last time we did that, we got attacked and now have fewer voting rights. Please explain the logic of why do we have to bear the burden to do more only to get less. Again, the DNC had this particular event today at Howard University featuring Vice President Kamala Harris. But the bottom line is simple. Unless President Joe Biden gets in the face of Senators Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, we're going to be stuck with the Republicans who don't give a damn about bipartisanship passing these onerous bills all across the country.
Come on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like that Biden is basically throwing in the towel, right? Yep. They're now talking about that they want to have a campaign talking about I will vote. That's the name of the campaign. Kamala Harris talked about it today. Vice President Harris talked about it today at Howard University. But that's putting the burden of dealing with the voter suppression on the backs of the very voters that risked our lives, literally risked our lives in order to give them the power to deal with this. So we didn't put them in power so that they could then turn it back on us and say, well, I guess y'all got to work harder to vote. I guess you activists got to go out and work harder to organize.
That's how
folks.
them
Like
do
I just
you.
tweeted out a little while ago. This isn't Bagger Vance or the Green Miles. We're not some magical Negroes that you just call up and ask us to work some miracles because you are unable to do your job. The White House has got to use everything that they have at their disposal, including pressuring or using carrots on Manchin and Sinema. You know, a few months ago, Biden did a statement on one of these networks. He did an interview where he said that he would be open to modifying the filibuster. But now all of a sudden that's out the door. He never actually presented a proposal saying, not just am I open to it, here's my demand.
That's the thing. So like people like my parents, and I'm using them for a very good example because I do believe they represent not just like an elderly, like an older voter that trends more moderate. They represent people who are satiated with the status quo, that feel a little just too complacent with, okay, Biden's in office. And like my parents have verbalized that, I trust them, right? And they're not wrong. I'm not demonizing my parents. Of course, I would never get on a hot mic and black. I would never, right? Honor your parents so your days can be long, right? Is that what the scripture says? But like, but what they do, but what they refuse to do is to look like to see that, hey, more could be done and call for more to be done. And I get it. I think my parents actually represent most of like the liberal, neoliberal Democrats or what have you that are pretty much the probably more vocal part of the party who's just really happy and rah-rah and treat our elected officials like brands or like celebrities to cheer for, as opposed to folks who work for us, who we voted in office to move in a direction that we push them in, right? So I think my parents are representative of like the most common people who aren't super engaged like every single day and every moment. Like I'm a wonk, like I'm a C-SPAN, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post kind of reader, whereas my parents will watch the news every day, watch CNN, MSNBC, and kind of just take that and run. There's so much more that this administration can be doing, especially with Joe Manchin. Y'all think that he just out here doing cute shit, right? No, you could actually incentivize or withdraw some benefits or withdraw access to things. There are things you can do to make Joe Manchin shake, to make him do what he need to do. And they're not employing that. Right. And let me look at the chat right here real quick on Twitch. Shout out to Johnny James about your comment on white supremacy. You got it. White supremacy is not sustainable. And so just like we're seeing capitalism starting to really fuck with everybody, working class Americans, blue collar Americans, capitalism is playing a number on all of us, right? So the same could be said about white supremacy and other forms of oppression. Whomever it's designed to attack, it's not stable, and it will impact the very people who uphold it. Stated plain. Absolutely, D. Thank you. Good morning, Kia. You right on time. Good morning.
My proposal on how to change the filibuster.
Good morning, Mev.
Make it
on
happen,
Facebook.
Chuck. Make it happen, Joe Manchin. He never did that. He just kind of out there acting like he's the innocent bystander.
And that's the thing. You ain't hear nothing from Chuck Schumer. I mean, you heard something from him yesterday, but you ain't heard nothing from Chuck Schumer. I'm going to rewind it a little bit so y'all can hear it again because I talked over for a long time.
Man, here's my proposal on how to change the filibuster. Make it happen, Chuck. Make it happen, Joe Manchin. He never did that. He just kind of out there acting like he's the innocent bystander in this. That's not what we need from somebody who had 40 years of Senate experience. Don't come to me or in our organizations trying to get us to solve a problem that you're supposed to have the experience and the power to deal with. And you have that power because we gave it to you.
That's right.
Make it happen or just be prepared for the consequences. But you can't count on us or ask us and demand us to just out-organize the voter suppression. That was not the remedy after slavery and Reconstruction.
That's right.
To just say, oh, go out and I will vote. You know, you had to deal with systemic issues of racism and Jim Crow. And if they're not prepared to do so now, then he's not really serious about saying, as he said in his congressional speech, that he wanted to see these bills passed as soon as possible.
Okay, so we'll stop it there. That was a really good clip. And again, Cliff has been beating that drum for a minute. I'm going to head over to Twitter. Y'all know, if you don't know, I'm a big fan of Ari Bierman, his work around highlighting voter suppression and how it rears its head in so many forms, and especially the history. If you haven't copped the book yet, go ahead and whip out that library card. Try to get it any way you can. Get an ebook, get an audio book, get a physical copy, but get that library card out and check out the book. Give Us the Ballot from by Ari Bierman. It will really, really peep you to what's really going on. I wanted to talk about why. So you might be asking, Mika, what this got to do with South Carolina? We ain't seeing the same thing happening over here. Well, we will, and we have. We've got ID laws here. We've got ID laws here. As soon as the Voting Rights Act was repealed back in 2012, we started seeing things shake. 2012, 2013. Here, we started seeing restrictive policies put in place here, and so we know that McMaster is also making movement and has been vocal about taking voting, the actual logistics, like taking the actual oversight of the voting process, taking it away from the county level and making it a state and essentially a political accountability. So people that he and other right-leaning lawmakers, people that he puts in office either by appointing or whatever gets passed through legislation, you know, he's also proposed the state takeover, numerous voting accountabilities in terms of like the Board of Elections, whatever they do, right? All the duties that they do here locally. And I told y'all, as someone who has worked numerous elections, the 2016 presidential and other local elections. I've worked on James Island. I've worked in North Charleston, right? As someone who's been close up to the Charleston County Board of Elections and how they conduct business, when I tell you that they're some of the best people, the most accountable people and solid leadership, I don't say that lightly. And to see those people be like, to take away to take that job away from them and give it to a political appointee potentially, or something that's tainted, an office that's tainted or been politicized, would be a huge loss. So we have to study things like Ari Bierman's Give Us the Vote, because we're a Section 5 state. So if you don't know what that means, we're going to get into that a little bit. We're one of the states that acted up back when we were trying to, make black folk participate in quizzes and suffer through poll taxes. We were one of them Section 5 states, one of them southern states that was acting up, specifically keeping black people out of the voting booths. Really, 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 like we were part of a bunch of states that really got a little too over enthusiastic about keeping black people from voting. So let me see if he talks about it. No, I think Cliff just retweeted Ari, and I think that's why I landed on that tweet. Let me go back one, because I think it's yeah. All right, so this is what Cliff tweeted or posted yesterday on Instagram and tweeted yesterday on Twitter. How much? Let me make it bigger. How much more does the White House need to see to understand that this is a historic moment, right? So it says another timely, insightful article from Ari Bierman. Right. So let's go ahead and read this. Biden needs to have his LBJ moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he says this, I think this is in, it might be in that Atlantic piece. LBJ introduced the Voting Rights Act 8 days after Bloody Sunday. Y'all, we just like, we're about to repeat history. When I see all this stuff and you watch these black and white clips and whatnot, you were like, this could never happen. It's happening. It's happening. Think about all of the threats that we've heard from right-leaning QAnon conspiracy theorists. Think about the things we've heard about the actual voter intimidation that we witnessed, the actual voter intimidation and the threats of bringing guns and them now making it in some places, I think, making it acceptable to bring guns into the voting booth. Like, think about all those things about, the red wave. Remember that? How Trump was sending all his voters donning their MAGA gear, even though I don't know if you can wear that in the precinct. But yeah, red wave. So people wearing, voting red, all coming and showing up to essentially intimidate people at the polls, right? So yeah. So bloody, when you think Bloody Sunday, don't think, that could never happen again. It could quite literally happen again. All those images from Selma and all that stuff can happen again. Absolutely. So LBJ had his moment, y'all. Voting Rights Act 8 days after Bloody Sunday. Attempt to overturn elections, insurrection, largest rollbacks of voting rights since Reconstruction are Biden's Selma moments. This is his Selma moment. And you've been like Cliff said, Biden, you've been out here for 40 years and you ran on, hey, I've got 40 years of experience, yada, yada, yada. Make it shake. Come on. Let me go back one more. Let me see if there was another tweet. I think it was just the Atlantic article that I was looking at. Let me go back to the videos and then let's see. I wanted to break down. Y'all know my other favorite. Let me see if I got her book over here. Yup. Ooh. My another important voice to listen to seek out in these current times is Carol Anderson, author of One Person No Vote. If y'all can see it, One Person No Vote. Right. So read Ari Bierman's Give Us the Ballot and read this. Read both of those books. They're very, very. So it's One Person No Vote: How Voter Suppression is Destroying Our Democracy. Right. So let's get into a clip from Carol. Not oldie, but like, it's not hella recent. But here we go.
Policies are wiping out.
Ooh. Let me rewind it. Y'all can tell I be starting videos before I come on live.
This kind of silent, quiet, bureaucratic violence where policies are wiping out the voting rights of millions of Americans. That's the piece that is absolutely stunning for my students.
Shout out, Carol. This is student voting rights.
Voter suppression is a series of policies designed to stop key elements of the American electorate from voting. And it comes in a series of policies dealing with voter ID laws, gerrymandering, poll closures, cutting out early voting, and it is lethal to American democracy. My students, when we talk about voter suppression, the first thing that hits them is that this isn't a thing that we're talking about in the past with the Mississippi Plan of 1890, or this isn't something that we're talking about pre-Selma in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement, but it's something that is happening now in America, and it is something that is wiping out communities of voters.
Yep. There you go.
I have seen a visible difference in terms of the engagement of students. And I think the big change came after the 2016 election.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop it there because she's speaking specifically to student voter disenfranchisement, which is important. But this is where I can see. This is where I sympathize with younger generations like Gen Z and even some younger millennials. with like boomers and whatnot. I know I don't want to go into that whole argument whether boomer is a pejorative term. Of course, it's pejorative, but it's well earned. But if it don't apply, let it fly, right? But like, I can see how younger voters and younger people in general are just so disenchanted with the older generation who is hell bent on just keeping things status quo and not necessarily working to advance and move in a more progressive direction. And when we've got the power, we've got the presidency, we've got the House and the Senate, and we're acting as if our hands are tied and we don't have any power, any ability to make things happen. Y'all saw Trump in his first few days in office. This dude was just blowing the doors off of like he was just, and I'm not saying we should emulate his unethical movements or whatnot, but I am saying that this dude moved with a certain level, whether it was inspired by mania or white supremacy, it was still very bold action. And like, why can't we be bold? Why can't we do that? Especially when we won back, the Senate, was narrow as hell. Like, we didn't really win it back, but it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we when we got those two important Senate seats in Georgia, I don't know why we just don't move with a certain level of boldness. And it makes me scratch my head. It confuses me so much. I wanted to watch this Ari Bierman clip here. Not all of it is 12 minutes, but again, going back to Ari Bierman. So we heard from Carol Anderson talking about how deep-rooted voter disenfranchisement, how it dates back so long. We're gonna listen to this clip from Ari as well. And let me see. Let me rewind it. Now this is from March, so this isn't hella recent, but this is when they started making moves. They started making moves, relatively quickly, right? So let's just watch this.
In Georgia, the Republican-led House passed a sweeping bill Monday to make it harder to vote in a move aimed at preventing Democrats from winning future elections. Republican lawmakers introduced the legislation after record voter turnout led to Joe Biden beating Donald Trump in November and Democrats Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff winning runoff elections in January, giving Democrats control of the U.S. Senate. The Georgia bill limits access to absentee ballots.
So I'm going to fast forward because we know about the Georgia. We know about that, right? We know about the boycotts and whatnot. I want to get to Ari Bierman if we can. Let me see. I think this is the introducing it here.
Erica.
Yeah. So that's the book, y'all. Y'all whip out that library card. Cop this book.
Reporter for Mother Jones, where his article in the March-April issue of the magazine is headlined, "The Insurrection Was Put Down. The GOP Plan for Minority Rule Marches On. How Republicans Are Breaking Democracy."
So now that's two scholars telling you that this is breaking democracy. This is a larger argument that's being made, not just about the act of voting, but how this could potentially damage our entire democracy.
Explain.
Good morning, Amy. Well, we're seeing it all across the country, how Republicans are breaking democracy.
Yep.
They are weaponizing Trump's big lie to try to pass 250 new restrictions on voting in 43 states, which would be the biggest rollback of voting rights in decades. They are pushing extreme gerrymandering to try to keep power in the states and to try to take back the House in 2022. They are using the filibuster so that 41 GOP senators representing just 21% of the country can block everything from a $15 minimum.
Did y'all hear that? Let me rewind that.
Are weaponizing Trump's big lie to try to pass 250 new restrictions on voting in 43 states, which would be the biggest rollback of voting rights in decades. They are pushing extreme gerrymandering to try to keep power in the states and to try to take back the House in 2022. They are using the filibuster so that 41 GOP senators representing just 21% of the country can block everything from a $15 minimum wage to legislation to restore the Voting Rights Act. So over and over and over, we're seeing that the Republican Party has no interest in appealing to a majority of Americans. Instead, they are doubling down on anti-democratic tactics so they can get a minority of votes, but wield a majority of power. And that's a very
And that's how that helps you. So I hope both the Cliff Albright clip and I hope the Carol Anderson clip and this one helps you understand y'all already knew. Y'all the smartest people I know. But it helps you further understand the complexity of this issue and what it can mean, what it would mean for the larger electorate if these dominoes fall. And we have to keep our eyes on our lawmakers here, because we know that while we're not in the headlines yet, it's just a matter of time. We already know how South Carolina moves, and definitely, they compete to be the most regressive state. So I'm surprised I'm happy. I'm surprised they're letting Texas beat them in terms of voter suppression, but it's just a matter of time. I wanted to circle back to, because I think I might hop off at 8:30 today, guys, to get ready for a really tough work day. Y'all just keep sending me good juju. Keep sending me good juju out there. Please do. Keep me in mind. The devil is big his Z, but I'm experiencing so many great things, and I have so much gratitude for a lot of friends and followers who've been really holding me down. But just keep sending me some good energy out there, if you don't mind. Keep me in mind. All right. But let's get to some clips from local lawmakers. This is just something I haven't even watched it, but Tim is doing Tim things, and he's got another thing that he's proposing. He's enjoying a lot of celebrity right now. Nikki Haley and him are cozy. Let me see if I can go back to my likes on Twitter, because there was a tweet. I think there was a tweet from Jamie Lovegrove. Right. Phone is jumping this morning. All right, let's go to my likes. Okay, so yeah, I like the Ari Bierman piece. Make sure y'all follow. If you're on Twitter and you're active, follow Ari, because it's really insightful. They're really insightful tweets. Check out that Atlantic article featuring Cliff. I think Latasha might be in it too. But I know Cliff is quoted in here. This piece from the Atlantic that was just published. The tool that Joe Biden refuses to use. The president's speech about the sanctity of the vote did not go far enough, right? And so it'll have some really interesting perspective. Make sure you read the Atlantic in general. Have some dope writers there. But let me see. I thought I liked Let me see. No, let me look. Jamie Lovegrove had something. Where you at, Jamie? Here you are. Booyah. All right. So there was here we go. This article that's in the Post and Courier. All right. So, and we saw this, right? We watched Tim's ad yesterday. That summer blockbuster of an ad that cost a lot of money, y'all. It cost a lot of money, and to y'all's credit, y'all called it out, to have all those people in there saying I'm with Tim, and Nikki Haley was one of the voices in there. And I kind of made a slip. I'm like, is Nikki Haley running for president? And maybe she's not, because she was in a Tim Scott ad. I do think, right? So oh wow, I forgot she appointed him to Senate. I forgot that's what that connection is. But she still had aspirations to be in the White House. But I think this complicates things. Even though these ads are for his reelection, they're not, right? Okay, so that's what I meant to say yesterday. So the ad, it's technically a reelection ad, but with all those heavy hitters from all around the country, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Trump was in the ad, Nikki Haley was in there, Trey Gowdy. That's a presidential ad. That's what I forgot. That was a missed opportunity yesterday. That was a presidential ad yesterday. And so we know Nikki is not running for Senate or anything like that, but she has aspirations to be in the White House. And to me, her being in that ad meant that she's not gonna run. She knows she can't run. She can't. She know that he's the anointed, he's the anointed one from the GOP, handpicked by Mitch McConnell and those to run for office in the next presidential election, to run against whomever emerges as the Democratic. Oh my God, it's gonna be either Joe or Kamala. I'm gonna be so depressed. All right. So new this morning, Nikki Haley offers her first South Carolina endorsement of 2022. To vote Tim Scott. Oh, he changed it up. All right. Okay. It says 8.5 years after she appointed him to the Senate. So yeah, that's a piece in there. Get your library card out and read that. So again, her presence in there, I thought. But Tim rolled out something else. Again, he's going to make a lot of high profile moves that aren't necessarily like they're you can look at them as just being somewhat, it's a marketing tool to keep his name in the news cycle, to keep him at top of mind. But let's learn more about it, because I honestly don't know what this is. I don't know what a Goldenpreneur is. First of all, his team is corny. The scooter video and the Goldenpreneur.
Small business and entrepreneurship are the backbone of our economy, making the American dream possible for so many. Contrary to popular belief, not all American entrepreneurs are young, tech-focused individuals starting companies in their garages. In fact, entrepreneurs ages 55 and over represent more than half of all business employers.
Goldenpreneurs.
While older entrepreneurs bring unparalleled experience and skills to their businesses, they also face unique challenges.
So he's trying to get the older vote.
In today's economy, such as ever-changing technology and a lack of mentorship opportunities.
Y'all, what y'all think this angle is? Sometimes things don't hit me right away. So older voting constituency, like what is he trying to do here? We always know that he was big on like opportunity zones, and yeah, you know, that's how he pulled himself out of the hood, yada yada yada. All that. But what is this? What is he trying to do with this? If y'all have any thoughts.
Obstacles can prevent their businesses from reaching their full potential, which leaves capital on the sidelines of our economy. That is why I'm introducing the Goldenpreneurship Act to train senior entrepreneurs and equip them with the necessary tools to make their businesses and their communities thrive. Together, we can ensure that today.
Okay. I'm trying to figure it out. I gotta dig a little deeper to figure out what that is. All right, someone who also has learned the power, the fundraising power. You know, it's not just Tim. Tim raising damn near $10 million is crazy impressive. But it ain't just Tim killing it with fundraising. Nancy Mace is killing it with fundraising because she found out that shtick. She found out that stunts, they work. They work. And a nice tight top.
With NOAA. I'm speaking to you today from historic Charleston's historic battery right here in downtown Charleston. And also behind me, right on the water, and actually a little bit further behind me, we pan that way, is the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, where NOAA also has a lab and works with our department here.
Oh boy.
And while we're not always going to see eye to eye on funding priorities, I know there are some areas where I think we can join together and work together with all of my colleagues here today. And I want to echo how important the work that NOAA does, your organization, in regards to flooding, which is why I'm standing in downtown Charleston this afternoon. 40 years ago, flooding in Charleston, where I'm standing today, averaged about 2 times a year. Today, in 2021, 40 years later, we're seeing over 40 flood incidences of flooding every single year.
I'm sorry, I can't listen to a climate denier talk about flooding in Charleston and read from a paper and didn't, you know, someone who didn't account for the blustery wind on the battery. I can't. I'm not going to watch this, and I'm going to bounce this off of my FOGC homies, my engineer, my architect homies over at Friends of Gadsden Creek. I can't watch this live because I'll just, you know, it's too early. I didn't have enough coffee to watch it. But anyway, so she's capitalizing off of, we know that the Post and Courier has made this a priority. They made flooding a priority. It's kind of a no-brainer, but the Post and Courier is just trying to capitalize off of, you know, yeah, Charleston's wet. Yep, Charleston's wet. They'll win a Pulitzer too for talking about Charleston being wet, but not necessarily talking about how it got wet. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to Nancy Mace talk about, she's a whole ass climate change denier, and now you give a damn about flooding and that, and get out of here. Give me a break. Give me a break. Let me see. Oh yeah. Let me see. So other news too, before I dip. Okay, yeah, so Section 5 of the Voting Rights, I was trying to get y'all, I forgot to get back to this. Section 5, again, South Carolina is a Section 5 state. It's old news, but it's important old news. The Supreme Court has ruled that Section 4 of the Voting Rights, what is this from? This is from, so this is when the voting, you see the date right here? This is when the Voting Rights Act was gutted, right? So the Supreme Court has ruled Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional. Section 4 is the basis for which jurisdictions covered in Section 5 are selected. Now, lawmakers must update the formula, yada, yada, this old news. So Section 5 required, so this is us, right? So Section 5 required 9 states, including Alaska, and individual jurisdictions around the country to get federal approval before changing voting or election laws, right? So we were one of those states. Let me pan over. Boom. So we were one of those Section 5 states. And then you see those are the other jurisdictions that they reference. So we were one of those states back in the day. These are the states right here that was acting up. And these are the jurisdictions down here in Florida. These were the states that was acting up back then, back in the day, during the civil rights movement. Acting up, doing a hell of a job restricting access to the ballot, restricting Black people from voting in elections, right? Those are the states. So back in 2013, all that was repealed. So now those states are no longer required to seek federal approval before changing things. And as soon as you saw this repealed back in 2013, that's when you start seeing ID laws introduced and other type of shenanigans here in South Carolina. Pivot, strong pivot before I dip. Good morning on Facebook if you're watching, talking about voting rights and how we need to keep an eye on what's going on in Texas, because what's happening in Texas will definitely mean something for us here in South Carolina. But we've kind of already talked about that. And now I want to transition to the news around the child tax credit, because I want you to watch out for this. So with this, even though we're careening the car, y'all, we're turning the car, really, really quickly to the left a little bit. I want you to watch this because I'm interested how the likes of a Tim Scott and a Nancy Mace will attack this legislation. We've seen Nancy Mace attack the infrastructure legislation that's still struggling. But let's see. I think this is a clip about the child tax credit, because I think a lot of people are looking forward to this, right? And it rolls out today. Skip this ad, get out of here. So let's see if we can play the video.
This is Martha's hometown.
Y'all know about the ads.
What Martha's.
Okay. We'll blow it up. And after this ad, please, we'll unmute it. But yeah, so I wanted us to keep an eye on that. Going back to Twitch, in the comments, I asked, what was the angle of the Goldenpreneur program? A lot of y'all think it's to support older CEOs. It is. It starts at 55, right? So older CEOs and shareholders, right, involved in large Charleston corporations. Yeah, I think that's the angle. Okay. All right, let's unmute. This is rolling out today.
All right, in Money Watch, the Biden administration's enhanced child tax credit program is being rolled out this week. Starting Thursday, the IRS will begin sending out monthly cash payments.
I need a kid.
Will go
Hurry up.
to eligible
Someone give me a
families
kid.
with children who are 17 or younger. It's part of a government effort to use the tax code to help low and moderate income families tackle the ongoing challenges of the pandemic. So joining me now is CBS Money Watch reporter Amy Peakey to break it all down, because people want to know, when am I getting my money? Am I eligible for this money? Because not everyone's eligible. So this money goes out on Thursday. When will people actually see the money in their bank accounts, and how much will it be?
Yeah, I think this is really important to understand that the tax money was dispersed by the IRS on the 15th, but like the stimulus checks, it could take a few days for that to land in your account. So the tax experts say, don't get freaked out if it's not in your account on the 15th. It will be there in probably 2 to 3 days.
Jasmine, what policy?
There are also people who will get checks in the mail, and those will take, between a week to 2 weeks perhaps to reach.
I'm gonna mute it right here. I'm gonna stop it right here, pause it right here. So yeah, so this is a child tax credit. I'm interested to see how lawmakers engage with this legislation, because they're gonna they've demonized vaccine rollout, right? And they got that little cute pop star that hopped into the White House yesterday and leveraged her celebrity to talk about vaccinations among teenagers. And I'm waiting for them to demonize that young girl, that little pop star that's just doing her damnedest. But I'm really interested to see how our lawmakers, especially more specifically our Republican lawmakers, characterize this, because this is a good thing. So they might stay radio silent on it, because I don't know if there is an angle here. here. Vaccines have been, but you know what? They politicized masks, so mask wearing became controversial. So I can imagine giving folks a tax credit. You do hear conversations about inflation. I hear that a lot, and how now they're not going to support the infrastructure legislation because of the debt. How dare they? After 4 years of Trump and all that spending, they got the unmitigated gall to talk about spending and to be thrifty now. Now y'all want to be thrifty. Okay, we got you. But anyway, so just keep your eye on this, because you know Mace loves a stunt. She might spray paint, give us a tax credit on her house. She might do that. Like, oh, I want to tell y'all, I switched. I changed. I didn't think Nancy Mace spray painted her house. Now I believe she spray painted her house. I wanted to update y'all on that theory. I'm really convinced now. I think that she spray painted her house. I'm gonna go there and say that, because it just don't make no sense. Let me see if there's anything else. I don't want y'all to see all my views. Y'all see what I be watching on my lunch break? Just mad sports. Let me see if there was something else I wanted to hit up. Oh, there was. There's some local news, y'all. So wait, it doesn't show up in my history. Let's go. There's some local news that I want to hit up from WCBD that I thought was worth watching. There was a horrible fire in Mount Pleasant last night. Hopefully folks are safe. Hopefully nobody was hurt. It looked devastating. Yeah, that's Nancy Mace right here. We already watched that grainy, compressed video of her with the wind blustering behind her. There was something I wanted to watch. Oh, this right here. This is terrifying. I'm seeing this trend everywhere. This right here.
Medical University of South Carolina employees off the job, refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine, but other area hospitals not planning to follow in that direction.
I see you, Dr.
News
Claw.
2's Forrest Tucker joins us live from the Medical University. And Forrest, you heard from Roper St. Francis Hospital about their policy when it comes to vaccinated employees.
Oh, I got you, Jasmine. Right, it should be permanent. But
Bernie
wants to make it permanent.
Tells me that while they are,
let me not talk over this Forrest Tucker. Let me not talk over Forrest Tucker. But yeah, Jasmine, to your earlier comment here on Twitch, it definitely should be permanent. I think that's what Bernie Sanders is definitely trying to lobby for sure. It should be a permanent tax credit for sure. Give folks money. It's not that hard. Yeah, we talked about Chris Middleton. It's Chris with a K though, Kia. We talked about him. I didn't mean to correct you. I gotta stop doing that. We talked about it. We led off with the Chris Middleton clip. Shout out to Chris. We led off today with just giving him his props for dropping 40 last night on them Suns. But this is crazy. Let's let this play.
Are not requiring everyone to get the vaccine. They do have one mandatory policy in place.
Off the job for no vaccines at MUSC. A statement from MUSC says that employees were notified about the policy in April and that it would go into effect by June 30th, beginning with leaders and new hires. Employees at MUSC who qualified for vaccine exemptions for religious or health-related reasons do not have to get the vaccine. A local attorney I spoke to says that since South Carolina is an employment at will state, meaning that they can make anything a condition of employment, MUSC is within their right to have this policy. He told me that there's not much those who are fired.
That law usually backfires on folks. Like, so we're very anti-labor, anti-worker state. I know I say that every day, but that usually backfires. But in this instance, if you don't believe in science and you're taking care of people who might be in the ICU or who might be dealing with this Delta variant, if you don't believe that you need to be vaccinated while you touching my granny, my auntie, you gotta go. You got to go. Ooh.
Fired can do to appeal.
Well, and since they're a government employee, there's a grievance process, but they wouldn't get it.
Oh, that'd be like the president of South Carolina State that we talked about yesterday. I think because he's a state employee, he's trying to pursue a route where he can maintain his job, his employment.
Judge and a jury and that type thing, and just go through an administrative process. But if they don't qualify for those two exemptions, I don't know of anything else that would protect them.
But just a few minutes away, Roper St. Francis Hospital is sticking with masks and highly recommending that people get their shots.
If you're going to work in an environment where COVID patients are going to come in, I think it makes sense to protect oneself, protect each other, and masks make sense. If we get the vaccination rate up, that changes the story.
Dr. Oliveros says they're still fighting the virus as the unvaccinated people get sick.
Right now, with variants, we are seeing an increase.
Yeah.
I mean, positivity rates of testing are going up. You know, we're seeing more patients who are COVID positive in the ICU in the hospital. They're coming into the emergency departments. And
now, medical leaders are urging people to get their doses by making things simpler for those who need it.
Our way of promoting this is to make sure that the vaccine is available, it's easy, and make sure that teammates understand the importance of it.
There you go.
And at this point, besides that, we're not really changing our operating
I didn't
procedures.
see that. Same facade. I did not see that. 12 DHEC. Let me see if WLTX got something on that. Let me see if the Columbia News. I didn't see that. So over here on Twitch, same facade just saying that DHEC announcing 12 Delta variant cases. Right. Oh man. That's horrible news. Let me see. I don't think there was anything updated. Let me see. MUSC, yep. Fire 5 here. Let me see. Nope. I don't see it, but I'll definitely, maybe it was from earlier, but I'll definitely keep an eye on that for sure. Yeah, we're not out of the woods yet, especially that's why the White House, you see them employing the help of a pop star with millions of followers, because now the other segment of the population, includes teenagers who have been less, I guess, likely to get vaccinated, because honestly, the messaging has been more about older people and like people like myself, middle-aged and whatnot. That's been the consistent messaging, but it's time for younger people to get vaccinated too. So I think that's something that we need to get behind. But we've seen how shout out to Jessica who dropped it in the chat yesterday, was it yesterday or I think it was, about how folks are like, they don't want any more vaccine outrage. That's the new thing, is no door-to-door outreach, excuse me. They don't want outreach. They don't want any type of like vaccine outreach. And so they are just going crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, y'all. I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want to keep looking for, I don't want to just keep digging right now. I wanted to lift up voter suppression. I wanted to lift up the thoughts and the comments of Cliff Albright from Black Voters Matter, my former boss. Make sure you check out this piece here. Follow Ari Bierman on Twitter if you're not already. Follow Cliff Albright from Black Voters Matter if you're not already, to just keep abreast and get that other side of this conversation about what the White House could be doing. If you think that, their hands are tied, it's Manchin and Sinema, there are tools that have yet to be deployed by our administration when it comes to making sure that people have free and fair access to voting. We will lose the House and we will lose the Senate if we keep it up like this. And this is really, this is part of my worst nightmare come true about electing a moderate, is that a moderate is just beholden to their donors. A moderate is just beholden to their whatever, that moderate base. It's really just donors and corporations, y'all. And instead of being progressive in any type of values, and they'll do a lot of virtue signaling and all that other stuff that doesn't really lead to real change. And like Cliff said in the earlier piece that I played from Roland Martin, like Cliff said, the initiatives coming out of the administration put the onus on the Black folk and organizers to make sure people have access to the ballot. That's not our job. Like, that's not sustainable. We did our thing in November. That's how you got in office, Joe. That's how you got in office. But now it's time for you to actually start acting right and start moving like a president, moving like a real G. And so there's so much more that could be done. So watch out for that. And shout out to the Democratic lawmakers in Texas prepared. Oh, the police are right outside my window. What's up? I'm sorry. I see a squad car out my window. And the cop. Okay, he's just getting himself together. Okay, sorry about that. But no, we need to watch what's happening in Texas, because our lawmakers need to be moving in similar fashion, especially if Governor McMaster starts to pull out his best Governor Abbott impersonation. We need to make sure that our lawmakers, we point to Texas like, look, this is how y'all should be talking. This is how y'all should be acting. This is how y'all should be moving. All right, y'all have a good Thursday. please, please, please. I don't know if you pray. I don't know if you meditate. Keep me in mind. I'm going through something personal right now, and it really is just messing up my energy. And just keep me in mind. Send me good juju. You don't need to send me anything else but good juju. Good prayers, good thoughts. As I get through this spell, I know trouble don't last always, but damn it, do it stay on my neck sometimes. And it's been a real difficult couple of weeks. So I want y'all to hold me down. And thank you again to those who joined the webinar yesterday and learned more about water equity and climate justice. Thank y'all so much. I can't wait to share more of the things that we walked through yesterday during the webinar. Once they become available to the public, I'll be doing probably a live stream about it here on Twitch, just to talk about the work that is being done from folks like Policy Link and the Water Equity and Climate Resilience Caucus, which I am essentially a part of. So take care, y'all. I love y'all, and thank y'all for holding me down. Bye.